Good morning. I kind of don't want to tell this story because I'm already over it. Like, it's okay. I've moved on and I've already documented it for myself. So, like, I don't need to document it again, but whatever. So, yesterday, I went to the gym and it was like 6:15. Sorry, I'm a little tired this morning. Um, when I was at the gym, it started pouring down rain, and I run to the gym and back, and it's like it takes me 6 minutes or so. And after the gym, I go to this mall here, and it takes me like, I don't know, 3.5 minutes. It's not that long. It's like 3 blocks away. But anyway, I'm working out at the gym, and I look out the window, and it's just dumping down rain, and I'm like, well, that's unfortunate. But in my experience, typically the rainstorms have they like come and go pretty quickly. It's like sometimes it's 15 minutes, sometimes it's 45 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, but it's usually not like for hours and hours. So I was like, well, like we'll figure it out. So I finish my workout, I go down, it's still just dumping rain, and there are a bunch of people like standing that were also in the same building, like waiting outside, like the covered area, and so I'm like, well, I guess I just like wait it out because like I have to run like 3 blocks, but it's just dumping rain, um, and I was like, well, I could order grab food like to my location, but eventually I'm gonna need to eat some kind of dinner, and so I was like, well, I'll just like wait it out. So I watched some YouTube videos, just kind of standing there, stretched a little bit, just kind of pacing back and forth, and 6:15 turned to like 6:30, and then eventually turned to like 6:45, and I was like, well, I need food. So I just worked out. I need dinner, and typically I eat right after I work out. Like usually, I don't know, 6:30, something like that. And so I was like, I'm looking at the Weather Channel app, and it's like, oh yeah, the storm should end at 6:15. And then I look back, and it's like, oh yeah, they should end at 6:30. And then I look back again, and it's like, oh yeah, they should end at 6:45. It just keeps like pushing back. I'm like, oh, wow, this is helpful. So I get to this point where I'm like, well, I'm like 3 blocks away. I'm already soaking wet from sweat. And so I just need to get to this mall, and then I can be in the mall, like drying off, whatever, eating, chilling, and in that time the storm will pass. And so like I just need to get 3.5 minutes away, and then I'm fine. And like the next like 45 minutes, I can be productive, eating and waiting the storm out. And so the rain like kind of clears up a little bit, but it's still like dumping down rain. I would say it's pouring rain, and the way this run is set up, there's this big like 2-3 lane roads right outside this building, and the rest of it is just like local neighborhood streets. And so it's like, okay, I have to get by this big intersection, which the lights are okay, but they take a decent amount of time. And then once you get past that, the rest of them they're all like stop sign kind of things. So it's like you can just run through them. But I'm not gonna go out, stand in the rain, waiting for this like traffic light. And so I was trying to like time it correctly. And so eventually I was just like, well, I guess this is what I got to do. And so I timed the next light, and then started running. And my biggest worry was honestly my noise canceling headphones and my phone. Just the I'm already sopping sweat from my workouts. It's like there's nothing new there. It's not about getting wet. It was more about like I don't want my phone to stop working or my headphones to stop working, because that would actually be a lot worse than just having to dry my clothes. So I'm holding my headphones like under my armpit and my phone's in my pocket, and I just start running, and like within, I don't even know, 15 seconds, I'm just like, I'm soaking wet. Just drenched in water. And it's been raining for like, I don't know, 45 minutes. So there are all these puddles, and it's like it rains a lot here. All these like big puddles. You can see the cars driving through like splashing the water up and over. And so all the like intersections have the little divots by the crosswalk, and so like running, and then all of a sudden you step in a big puddle, and I'm just soaking wet. And eventually I make it over here to this mall, and I'm like, it went from like, haha, this is fun, I have to wait and it's different, I have to wait for my run, and then like during my run I was like, okay, this is not fun anymore. I'm soaking wet, and I just want some food. And so I get to the entrance of this mall here, and I turn the corner and I start walking in, and I get through the little like the opening door thing, and I step like one step inside. I'm like weaving through some people, and I step inside, and I hear, sir, and like from behind me. So I like turn around, and this guy in like a big like reflective security vest comes over, and it's like, sir, too wet. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I turn around and walk out, and he goes like, I don't remember exactly what he said. He's like, too wet, can't go in. Sorry, too wet. And so I'm like, okay, like brain is processing. So I'm like, so you're telling me like I can't go in the mall? And he's like, too wet. And then he's standing there, like we're like looking at each other for a couple seconds, and then he does like one of these, and he's like, okay, 1 second, let me ask the manager, kind of thing. And so he turns around, and this other guy, and this like, not a police officer, but he's got the like white security, proper. It's got the radio, the baton, whatever. He's got the hat, the badge, and he's like clearly the one in charge. And so this guy with the security vest turns around, is like waiting for him to stop talking, and he taps him on the shoulder, and he's like, is this guy okay to go in, kind of thing. And he comes over, walks over, like does, looks me over, and he's like, sorry, too wet, you can't come in. And I'm like, ugh. And I stand there, I'm like, all right, well, like, how long do I have to wait? Because like, I don't know, I was thinking, I looked, and I was soaking wet, because like the shirt I was wearing was like tight fitting as well. Um, but I was like, you know, you get inside the AC, it's gonna dry quickly, whatever. Um, and so I'm like, all right, like how long do I have to wait? Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes? And he's like, he like doesn't understand my English. Um, and he says back, he's like, oh, you stand over here to the side, and like until the water is finished, and then you can come in. And I'm like, I almost started laughing. I was like, you actually think I'm gonna stand here and wait for my entire body to dry before I walk in? Wow. Okay, this is stupid. And so I turned around and I was like, then I started fuming. I was like, oh, this is stupid. So I just turned around and I ran away and ran back to my hostel. And I was like, I'm not gonna stand here for like 60 minutes while it's bucketing down rain, expecting my whole body to dry just so I can get into this mall. Like, man. So I run back to the hostel, still like pouring down rain. I get back in. I'm furious, frustrated. Go in, take a shower, starting to calm down. And fortunately, I have been making like overnight oats during the day. So I had, a packet of overnight oats, and I had some nuts and peanut butter and protein powder. So I ate that. I mean, already it's like, an hour after I finished working out or something. So I'm like, I'm hungry. And so I eat that with some peanut butter, some nuts, protein shake, and by now it's like 7:15, and I'm looking at food on the Grab app, like Uber Eats kind of thing, delivery, and all these like times are like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, and I'm like, okay, well it's 7:15. If I order something that's like even this is what I don't like about delivery. Maybe I just haven't figured it out, but it's like I order food from a place that's, I don't know, I'll walk 10 minutes. It's like a couple blocks away, and it takes 50 minutes to get here. And I'm like, this is not very convenient. So I was like, I put stuff in my cart, and I was, about to hit place order, and I was like, by 7:15, it's gonna be like 8 o'clock. It's gonna be after 8 by the time this food gets here, and then I'm gonna eat a huge meal right before going to bed. Like, this is gonna screw up my sleep, and so I'm like, like, what do I do here? And I eventually I was like, I guess I'm just not gonna eat dinner. I'm just gonna eat my overnight oats, some nuts, and protein shake. It's probably like 500 calories plus some nuts, 150 whatever, plus protein shake 150. It's like whatever, 600 calories. It's like definitely not it, but better than nothing. So I was like, well, whatever. So and that's pretty much it. Just went to bed, had an okay sleep, woke up with a poor recovery score, and here we are. But yeah, I'll finish this off with, I think, two things. One is something I forgot to mention was right after I left this mall, I turned around and started running back. It was like half of my mind was like furious, frustrated, but the other half, I could hear my brain going like, okay, well, like, be a man and like figure it out. Like, what are you gonna do next? So like, you can't go in the mall, but you still need to eat. So like, what are you gonna do? And I don't know if I could label that as good or bad or whatever, but it definitely came up. And I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a label to put on it, but I thought it was interesting. And then, yeah, the other thing is just like I'm over it. It's like whatever. They were just doing their job. I understand. I thought about could I have done something differently in that situation? But like at this point, I'm over it. It's okay. I'll just eat more food today for lunch and dinner, and like, it's unfortunate that I didn't get to eat dinner, which screws up my bulking and gaining muscle, which is something that I value, and it screwed up my sleep potentially. Maybe not. If I had ordered food, that would have screwed up my sleep. But like, whatever, I'm over it. It happens. I moved on. Today's a new day. Gonna go to a coffee shop, work more on this, coding this product, and move hostels today. Found a good one yesterday. And yeah, I'll figure it out, Eat more at lunch the next day, and eat more at dinner, and whatever. So, that's where I'm at. I think that's all I have to share. Oh, the one last thing was like, I think with the context of listening to all this, like, first man, male advantage kind of content of like, life gets better as you put in the work. I did some goal journaling, I suppose, yesterday. The last thing I was reflecting on was like, one day I'll have enough money that like I don't need to run back in the rain, kind of thing. Like, that situation will not happen. And I know it's not the worst. Like, things could obviously have been worse, but it's just one of those things where it's like, unfortunate situation, uncomfortable, like, things could be different kind of thing. And just thinking like, one day I'll look back on this moment and be like, oh yeah, remember when I was so cheap that like I didn't have a car or whatever the excuse is, and like I had to run back and I got drenched in the rain, like, oh yeah, remember that, and like think about how fortunate and grateful I am for the money that I have now. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. See you tomorrow. Bye.